And I'm Ben Coleman, one of your hosts for the Florida Aviation Network, coming to you live, broadcasting in the clear from the terminal building of Sebring Regional Airport. And we are at the U.S. Sport Aviation Expo 2019. We're here every year, and we develop all of these shows for you, the viewing public. We're streaming live as we speak, and it will be recorded for future posterity. We're here to educate, innovate, and aviate. And talking about educating, we have a gentleman here, Tom Peghiny.
Pretty close.
Close, Tom?
Good enough. Peghiny.
Peghiny. Tom, what is the history of that last name?
That's an Italian last name, but it has a Y on the end that throws people off. It should be Peghiny with an I.
Peghiny.
I believe it was changed at Ellis Island.
But there's a little bit of inflection on the second syllable, isn't there? Peghiny?
I get called Peghiny. It's okay. Late for dinner, everything.
Well,
so,
but
yeah.
you're a sport, and tell us,
Well,
being a sport,
Yes.
Tom, what do you do here at Sebring that brings you here to talk with us, and does it have anything to do with education?
We are the importer from for the United States for flight design light sport aircraft. And
So it
that
does
is what
have
I
something to do with education,
Well, we do
Innovation.
innovation.
aviation.
Lots of aviation,
Okay.
mostly. And some of the education would be that we do sell training aircraft to flight schools. So
It's vital.
we do care about people learning how to fly, and that's really good. And I also care greatly about the future of aviation in the United States, so I'd like to see more young people get involved.
And how, Tom, I know that your organization, you're in the sales end of the business, importing.
Yes.
So there's an awful lot of traffic coming in from these. Czech Republic has some beautiful designs.
Yes.
Russia has some beautiful designs coming. So tell us a little bit about what is your the brightest star on the horizon without inflicting any negative on some of the other models. But
Oh no, I'm an enthusiast for every
Okay,
airplane
good.
that's out there.
Good.
First of all,
Tell us
And I
tell us
was
some of the bright stars that are coming up for us.
Well, I think there's many exciting light sport aircraft to choose from, and I do recommend that everybody get down here to the Sebring Expo if they can, and tune into your broadcast is another great way to experience it. Light sport aircraft and the sport pilot license has broadened the appeal of aviation to people that otherwise would not get involved. And that includes aircraft like powered parachutes, trike powered hang gliders, and special light sport aircraft like our company sells.
Now, flight design that you sell, what type aircraft? You mentioned
It's an all carbon fiber two-place advanced special light sport aircraft called the CT. It's rather popular. In fact, we have sold more flight design CTs than any other light sport aircraft in the United States. Before being in that business, I was a ultralight kit manufacturer, and I helped participate in creating the ASTM standards by which special light sport aircraft are now certified.
F-45.
F-37.
F-37?
Yep.
Okay.
And I was the airplane subcommittee chairman for the airplane subcommittee and helped develop the standards. So as such, I really am a fan of all the different aircraft out here, and I think it's a great category.
Good. And how about in the education part for the folks that don't know ASTM?
Yep.
You were on the committee that actually set up, you probably know Sue Gardner?
Yes, as a matter of fact, Sue Gardner was really very important in the development of sport pilot license and the ASTM committee.
Yeah, Sue's a very good close friend, and she's her heart is truly in
unsung hero of sport pilot and light sport aircraft because she was so friendly and rational and led the group, a very disparate group, towards getting a consensus so we could move forward.
And few people realize that about Sue, but it's that demeanor and that temperament that really moves projects like that forward, because you can get caught up in the goo with some of these federal projects can get really, really cumbersome really fast. Yeah. And but Sue is able to smooth it out and keep focused. That's what I admire about Sue.
Yep.
Tom, the CT is primarily the Rotex is the engine of
Yes,
choice.
all of our aircraft are Rotax powered.
Okay, and how about the new Rotex coming down the line, the 915?
915 IS, yeah, I'm sure we're going to find a place to put that. And we're working on some new aircraft, including a 4-seat certified aircraft that's an expansion of our light sport aircraft offerings. Currently,
So we will have a TC.
Yes, it will.
Good. The mention of light sport initially, and I know that everybody was looking forward to the light sport business coming in. Airplanes are going to be cheap. You can fly them cheap. You can save a lot of money. It's not going to be costly. And then the folks are concerned about, oh my goodness, it's $100,000. It's all relative, because in today's $100,000 benchmark, back in the 70s, aircraft were selling for $25,000, $30,000, $40,000. So when you start breaking it down that way, and I love to take on people that claim that it's too expensive to buy aircraft and fly aircraft these days. Not true. Not true. What can you do to help me on that?
Well, if the sales numbers would go up considerably, it would help with the economy of scale, which would drive down the cost.
Volume.
But beyond that, originally when light sport aircraft and the sport pilot license were created, we imagined that aircraft would be aluminum tube, fabric covered airplanes powered by an 80 horsepower Rotax 4-stroke or some other affordable engines that would come into the market. And the customers that came into the market space, if you will, really drove the cost of the aircraft up by wanting them more and more equipped.
And with that more and more equipment and more technology comes the more and more price.
Right.
So on your on the CT, you have I think three different models.
Yes, we
of
do.
the CT. Can you just give me a benchmark? And we're talking about just in round figures, because I know that, and I don't want people to get sticker shock, but 1, 2, and 3 from the lowest to the highest price range.
We are just about to bring in a model called the CT Super, which is a development of an earlier model that we were bringing into the United States called the CTSW, and it has some noticeable improvements over that and has been upgraded over the years, and that'll come in for $130,000, nicely equipped with a glass panel, with a ballistic parachute system.
This is not the Sport.
The CT Sport, yes.
This is that's 130.
And then we go up to our top of the line model, which is the fuel injected CT LSI GT, which has 3 Dynon screens, autopilot, ADS-B in and out, level button, ballistic parachute system, leather interior, all
all the whistles and bells.
Yes, and that's $179,000.
Well, that's really not that much of a spread. I mean, $40,000 or under $50,000 from the I don't want to say the basic or the bottom line.
Yeah, we don't sell it, unfortunately.
Because the bottom line is still a pretty well equipped aircraft.
Yes, that's correct.
And I'm glad that you don't have a bare bones. I don't want any instrumentation.
We've actually tried that, and none of our customers were really interested in it. Several times we said, let's try taking equipment off and selling an analog gauge or a single screen on the left and analog gauges on the right, and then.
But they're going to save $10,000-$15,000.
So,
but that's such useful equipment.
It's just kind of different, yeah. It's not as we thought.
And again, I go back to the equipment and the cost, because everything that we do and talk about here is about safety. And the light sport industry, they need to be mindful of safety as well. And a lot of that electronic components in there adds to the safety and the information.
Well, the
to
angle
the
of
pilot.
attack gauges that come with all of the screens, and terrain awareness, and so reducing stall spin accidents and controlled flight into terrain. In fact, I believe that our industry has had a knock-on effect and is now helping the FAA justify using non-TSO'd equipment into Part 23 aircraft, like the STC that Dynon has got for putting one of their screens into a 172. And if you want to improve the safety of all of general aviation. You have to get new, affordable equipment into the fleet. You can offer the super safe $1 million airplane, but very few people will be able to afford to have it, and it won't help the average pilot.
Well, and I know that economics has a lot to do with it, because there's pushback by the big firms that have spent the money for certification, and they're trying to recoup that back on volume of sales. And they say, well, this is that's dirty pool to let these guys that are non-TSO'd come in and sell it to a Part 23 airplane.
Well, fortunately, the FAA was very wise about what their goal is, and their goal is actually safety first. And so that was a way to rationally allow the industry to help improve safety in the existing fleet. So there's a man named Earl Lawrence, who's the head of certification for the FAA, that I think is, if not personally responsible, is almost personally responsible for bringing around that change. And that came about with a realization from the GAJSC, which is the General Aviation Joint Steering Committee for Aviation Safety, where we looked at the numbers of controlled flight into terrain over the last 10 years, and it was probably the non-certified Garmin 296, 396, 496 little navigation units that were allowed to be put in aircraft that gave people better terrain awareness. And so I think that was the model for it. So
well, I think, Tom, that we're on the right track, and it really pleases me that we had a chance to talk and get acquainted. But we're going to wrap it up on this one, and I'm going to go to your website and check out a little bit more on flight design. Thank you, Tom. And we're going to wrap this interview up, and actually it's a great discussion about light sport aviation, and that's what we're here for. It's a Sport Aviation Expo 2019. Ben Coleman, one of your hosts. See you next interview.